Hey everybody, Mr. The Fanboy here. This is my thoughts on Impact Wrestling on Pop TV. Of course, this is my thoughts on Impact Wrestling on Pop TV and Impact Wrestling on general and pretty much all the news I've been reading on TNA WrestlingNews.com. And I must say, for the most part, I have two problems with TNA, which I'm about to get to in a minute. But for the most part, Impact Wrestling on Pop TV has just been awesome. Before I get to any matches in the ring, any storylines, and any news, I'm going to talk about the first thing that instantly already made me totally a watcher for TNA, and that was last year. Of course, I heard the news that TNA they would be spending more money. They would be spending more money on set designs. They would be spending more money on set designs and improving the set design of TNA and the new set design, the new Titantron they have, and the big arenas instantly instantly makes me a watcher of Impact Wrestling, man. Instantly makes me a watcher of Impact Wrestling. I was already a watcher of Impact Wrestling because of all the awesome shows and matches they put on in 2015. But this right here already, the set design makes TNA look like what I want. A big, larger than life badass epic wrestling show. And see, I like underground wrestling, but this is something only companies like TNA, the Lucha Libre Promotions, and companies like New Japan can give me. These big time, these big budget arenas. These are the only companies besides WWE that can give me these awesome set designs and these big time companies and these big time Titantrons. Pretty much companies like TNA are the only companies that can like give that to me. So like I said, already that's the already that already TNA automatically will make me tune in because of that. Then of course, like I said, the whole feud between Matt Hardy and EC3. Of course, the whole feud between Matt Hardy and EC3 I initially liked. Now I'm sort of mixed. Now I'm sort of mixed because the feud didn't end how I predicted. I predicted EC3 either EC3 would walk away with the championship and Matt Hardy would um I thought at the first Impact showing at the first it actually takes me I wasn't sure how it was going to end. I was just watching to see what was going to happen. What was going to happen because you can tell by from the way it ended in the final match. You can see Matt Hardy mad. You can see Matt Hardy mad, and him and Rebby Sky and mad. And then the next week he was on that crappy show with Mr. Anderson. He was on that crappy show with that highlight reel like talk show Mr. Anderson. It was a terrible segment, but in that segment, Matt Hardy sort of right here he teased a heel turn by by making excuses on why he lost to EC3. Lost to EC3, so that instantly told us there was going to be another match between the two. And then, of course, EC3 announced the last man standing match where Matt Hardy would put his career on the line, will put his career on the line in a last man standing match. And throughout this match, I accidentally missed this episode. I missed this edition of Impact. I missed this episode. I actually accidentally fell asleep. I was dead tired that day and I accidentally fell asleep through the Impact Wrestling show. And I read on Wikipedia. I want to see who the champion was, and it said it had Matt Hardy turning heel. It had Matt Hardy turning heel and EC3 turning face and tires. And I thought someone was trolling. Someone signed up for an account on Wikipedia and immediately edit the text. But it wasn't. I watched the edition on the streaming site, that edition of Impact Wrestling, last week's edition on the streaming site, and it was true. It was true. It was true, and I was just in shock. See, that's one thing I'll give TNA, surprising me with Tyrus's and Matt Hardy's heel turn and EC3's shocking face turn. I'll give them that for shocking me and making me want to tune in to this tonight's edition of Impact Wrestling, and future editions of Impact Wrestling on Pop TV. I'll give TNA that. Because of that, you have me wanting to tune in. But here's the problem I have with that. do I really want to cheer as a babyface? Do I really want to cheer for EC3 out of all the bad things he's done to Matt Hardy and his family? Matt Hardy and his family. I mean, he's cheated to get where he is. He's cheated to get where he is, and all of a sudden Matt Hardy all of a sudden I'm supposed to cheer for him as a babyface now. I also like it because this character, it's a turning point for both of these characters. EC3, he gets to be the face of Impact Wrestling as a face, a young guy, a young TNA wrestler as a face, and Matt Hardy. This is a turning point for him because it's a turning point in the Matt Hardy character. A guy for pretty much his whole career, even when he was a heel, always did things for other people. Always did things for other people. Now he's selfish, only does things for himself. Only does things for himself now, and finally became the world heavyweight champion. So like I said, I'm actually mixed towards this whole storyline. I wanted Matt Hardy to win. First of all, I want to see how the storyline would triumph. Either EC3 would prove he is better once and for all by challenging and conquering Matt Hardy, or I wanted Matt Hardy to triumph as a babyface and beat EC3. I just want to see this storyline play out. First off, last year, you got to go back to last year, when EC3 and Matt Hardy even locked up. I just wanted this to be a one-time match. I just wanted Matt Hardy to challenge EC3. EC3 would beat him and that be over with. But no, they continued the feud. They made this a long story arc. A long story arc. Then it was cool to see Matt Hardy get his redemption at Bound for Glory to finally beat EC3. Then another turning point in the Matt Hardy character where, to avoid EC3's lawyers, he forfeited the TNA Heavyweight Championship, which led to that huge Impact Wrestling tournament, Impact Championship tournament. Then it all ended in the finals with EC3 defeating Lashley, Matt Hardy defeating Eric Young, and finally these two met. And right here, I actually expected it to end, but of course, after the match, you can see Matt Hardy all mad. Like it wasn't going to end. Then the next week, during the segment with Mr. Anderson, Matt Hardy teased a heel turn he teased the heel turn, but even I didn't think they would try to turn Matt Hardy heel. Even though right here is where they teased it, where he made excuses for losing. Then the next week, and then like I said, I actually missed that episode of Impact, so I didn't see. But yes, yeah, so like I said, I'm just mixed about this whole thing. This is something I didn't want to be a storyline. I wanted Matt Hardy to fight EC3 and lose, and that be the end of it. But no, TNA did me one better and made this an entire story arc, So, but this whole storyline has me interested in wanting to tune in to Impact Wrestling. Then of course, you have the reformation of Beer Money. Beer Money. Jesse Goddard and Eli Drake teased that they might be forming a tag team because they teamed up for the past 2 weeks. For two weeks they teamed up, but it seems after tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling that they might be going their separate ways, and Eli Drake might be turning face because Eric Young is the King of the Mountain champion, and Eli Drake has a shot against him, so Eli Drake may turn face, or unless Eric Young loses the King of the Mountain championship to someone else. Then of course, like I said, and like I said, I really don't care much for the Knockouts division anymore. With after the news that Brooke Tesmarker had parted ways from TNA, and speaking of parting ways from TNA, I am still mad. I am angered by the release of Manic from TNA. This guy, last year he had one of the best matches I've ever seen, and that was when he teamed up with Abyss and challenged the Wolves, and he wrestled most of the match. Then he had all these awesome, exciting matches on Explosion and Impact with Tigre Uno, all these awesome X Division matches, and awesome gimmick with the mask and stuff, and I just saw a guy who I saw years ago As Puma, he really wasn't that good. He went on the independent circuit, owned his skills, wrestling under different characters. Finally comes to TNA. They gave him the suicide gimmick. Then James Storm transformed him, rechristened him as Manic, rechristened him as Manic, and he, like I said, he was awesome. He was awesome in the Revolution. Then when him and Abyss broke away from the Evolution, and I was talking about him being a future champion, and TNA just ups and release him. And at first I thought it was TNA not wanting to give him his, not wanting, it was him. I thought he left TNA, but it turns out TNA just released him for no apparent reason, and I'm just mad about that. I hope he goes to Lucha Underground somewhere where he'll probably be suited, well, we were treated better somewhere like Lucha Underground. But I'm like pissed off with the news that Manic is Manic has been released from Impact has been released from TNA Wrestling, has been released from TNA Wrestling what's his name, man, and I mentioned in my Impact Wrestling review how I didn't like the Feast or Fire match. I enjoyed the match because a lot of wrestlers who haven't been on the, a lot of wrestlers like Spud and them who haven't been on the Impact roster, who haven't been on the episodes of Impact, they finally got on TV. But I do not like the Feast of Fire match. I like the fact that we're guaranteed a heavyweight title match, a tag team title match. Well, they have the King of the Mountain Championship now, and those. But I'm not. I do not like anyone getting fired. So that's the second problem I have. That's the second problem I have with Impact Wrestling. And I mentioned my problems with the knockout division. How I feel just teenagers to just get rid of that, man. No woman wrestler wants to wrestle for Impact Impact Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, and I do not like Awesome Kong and Angelina Love as wrestlers. I'm actually as wrestlers. I think Angelina Love's a good heel. I think Angelina Love's a good heel and a decent wrestler and a good heel. I do not like cheering her as a babyface. And Awesome Kong, she is a heel now, but I do not like Awesome Kong. At first off, for talking trash about WWE years ago, before she went to WWE, for talking trash about WWE, then signing with WWE and just all of a sudden was just kissing their butt. Then having one of the most disappointing WWE runs of all time, and now she's back in TNA because WWE released her and wants nothing to do with her anymore. Probably one of the biggest flops in WWE I've ever seen, and that's Awesome Kong. And I just don't like Awesome Kong. She's sort of made it up with awesome matches, but I will never truly forgive her because having her here just makes TNA seem desperate. They pretty much are because no women wrestler wants to wrestle there. So in my opinion, they just need to get rid of them. They just need to get rid of women's wrestling. They need to get rid of women's wrestling, man. Because no women wrestler wants to really wrestle there, man. And how long will it be for the dollhouse where the young people? How long will it be for they leave before they leave, or for they'll come in and retire or something? So yeah um um yeah. So um um next is Eric. So like I said, these past four editions of Impact Wrestling, I will be reviewing these. I've just been lazy. Lazy. I've started trying to review these things, but I just never got around to doing it. I will be reviewing the first three editions of Impact Wrestling. I just recently reviewed the fourth edition of Impact Wrestling on Pop TV. But Impact Wrestling on Pop TV has just been awesome. I'm also going to now speak on TNA being disappointed about AJ Styles and Austin Aries. Austin Aries is disappointing, but what else was he really going to do? He's kind of done it all. He's kind of done it all in Impact Wrestling. It would have been awesome if he would have returned to Impact Wrestling, but he's kind of done it all. I wanted Austin Aries in Lucha Underground in the AAA promotion in Mexico. He hasn't done that. But of course he signed with WWE. I'll tune in on the. I'll go to I have a streaming site to watch WWE, TNA, UFC, NXT, and all that stuff. So I'll do that. I will not watch WWE. I have a biased hatred towards WWE. I'm letting people that know right now. I'm all TNA, Underground Wrestling, and whatever. I have a biased hatred towards the WWE. So I will not be watching that. So I can see why TNA would be mad at Austin Aries. AJ Styles, in my opinion, TNA has nothing to be mad about. You've had this guy for what? Um, 10 years. You had this guy for You've had this guy for hold on, not 10 years, but 12, 12, pretty much 12 years. He left TNA in 2014, I think it was. He left TNA in 2014. And this guy did not draw a dime, did not really draw much of anything. I'm not going to say he didn't draw a dime because I saw several people with AJ Styles merchandise in the crowd. I saw a couple of people with AJ Styles merchandise, but this guy really didn't draw much of anything when he was there. This guy's been booked as a top guy. Gives guys like him and Joe been booked as top guys and never really drew much of anything when they were there. Because these guys are, I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. AJ Styles and Joe are awesome professional wrestlers, but they are underground indie stars. They are not major stars. And that's one problem I have with TNA by constantly pretending that these two are the best professional wrestlers in the world, and the best superstars, professional wrestlers in the world. They're the best, technique-wise, they're the best professional wrestlers in the world. They're legit. But when it comes to drawing money, getting people into the arenas, they're indie stars. They're not mainstream stars. And in any mainstream promotion, they would be a mid-carder. AJ Styles, I read the results. They're pushing him they're pushing him in the mid-card, where AJ Styles would be in a WWE or any big-time wrestling company. TNA is constantly pretending that he's like the number one wrestler there. What's his name? And you got people, haters saying crap like, oh, TNA lost their top guy. um, TNA, all the bad things that would happen, they would have happened with AJ Styles there. They would have lost their Spike TV deal if AJ Styles, they would have lost that even with him there. They would have lost their Destination America deal even when he was there. They would be on Pop TV now with him. It's not changing because none of these guys, well, actually AJ Styles, none of these guys are really draws. And before I start, I'm actually a huge fan of AJ Styles, but I don't like him. AJ Styles, the person in real life. He strikes me as someone as, from what I've heard from what I've seen in interviews and his actions, and what I've seen from other wrestlers like Luke Hawx, independent wrestler Luke Hawx, with other wrestlers, he strikes me as someone who is arrogant and thinks he's a bigger star than he really is. He really is. He really is, and it's just it's just a little whiner because he's still mad that TNA. Jeff Jarrett promised TNA would be centered around AJ Styles, Joe, and Daniels. And it was gonna be that up until Hulk Hogan joined TNA. Up until Hulk Hogan joined TNA. Now, and AJ Styles was also mad that Hogan and Bischoff had AJ Styles drop the title to RVD. And they tried to build TNA around RVD, Jeff Hardy, and several other guys. Well, guess what? TNA would not have done that if AJ Styles was a draw. Was a draw and actually drew more money, drew ratings. And when I say ratings, I'm talking about 2s, 3s, and even higher than that. Not 1.7. I think that's the highest rating they ever had, and I think that's the highest rating they had. I think that's the highest rate. I think a 1. No, not 1.7. That's SmackDown's ratings. 1.3, a 1.0, 1.3. I'm talking about 2s and 3s. I think the highest one was 1.5. His Impact debut was the highest rating they've ever had. But I'm talking, if he drew, none of those guys would have been there. They were doing that even before. They tried to build TNA around Christian because these guys really weren't draws. They tried to build TNA around Christian, and that's the one thing I never liked about TNA. They've constantly destroyed the roster, buried other guys on the roster, released fired wrestlers who didn't deserve to be fired, just to push AJ Styles and Joe, two guys who are awesome, but stop pretending that they're the number one guys. They were, at one point, it was AJ Styles and Jeff Jarrett winning all the belts with, oh, you had Raven and Ron the Truth Killings and Shamrock here occasionally. But at one time it was just AJ Styles and Jeff Jarrett winning all the belts. And that's a problem I have with TNA, so pretty much TNA Styles is just a little crybaby that TNA wasn't about him anymore. That's the same with Joe. That's the same with Joe, too, whom I can't stand. Anything with Samoa Joe from the Indies, starting with Ultimate Pro Wrestling, Japan, Ring of Honor, and TNA, all the way up until his run with WWE, I like. Joe in WWE, I do not like. His matches are boring. His matches are crap. He injured Tyson Kidd, so I absolutely hate Joe right now as a person and as a wrestler. But anything before WWE with Samoa Joe, I actually like. Um, AJ Styles, I really don't care. But he's one of my main reasons for tuning in because him alone can make WWE more interesting. Even though nothing will truly ever make me watch WWE because I have a biased hatred towards him. But I tuned in to the Royal Rumble just to see him, and I will tune in to I will watch Raw and streams just to see AJ Styles. But like I said, um, AJ Styles, AJ Styles, AJ Styles. So that's my thoughts on AJ Styles and Austin Aries and WWE. Man, being TNA is really nothing to be mad about. I'm more angry about Manic being released from Impact Wrestling than I am about AJ Styles. Not re-signing with TNA. And besides, he hasn't done anything with TNA. He hasn't done anything with TNA. He's been stale for a long time. I like what they did in late 2012 and 13 when they revamped his character, but he himself since like 2009 has like AJ Styles has been stale in TNA, and like I said, awesome wrestler, but not that good of a talker, and can't talk anyone into the arena. Can't talk anyone in the arena. Does not appeal to the casual goer. He appeals to hardcore wrestling fans such as myself, but he is not in underground wrestling fans. But he does not appeal to the casual goer, and that's the problem I've had with guys like him and Joe Joe. Um Joe. So so yeah, I'm kind of happy. And unless he was gonna put over EC3 and Spud and Jesse and Robbie E, I didn't want to see AJ Styles back at TNA unless he was gonna put over those guys. And I really don't care what happens to him in WWE. If they bury him, oh well. If they push him, good. Good. Really don't care. I'm not angry about this like I am with Sting. I'm still angry about that. One of the reasons I don't watch WWE more is because of how Sting was handled there. But this was my thoughts on Impact Wrestling on Pop TV. Like I said, Impact Wrestling, best Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling and Lucha Underground are the best wrestlings on TV. All the other promotions I watch are on the internet. Impact Wrestling and Lucha Underground are the best wrestlings on TV. And I can't wait for the return of Lucha Underground tomorrow. All right. Dug out.